Tonight is all about how to get through those creative blocks. We're in a situation where there's plenty of distractions, and even if there wasn't a pandemic going around, I think I have more people talking to me about how do I get over my creative blocks than anything else. This is really common and really huge, and in the context of the situation that we're in right now, we want to tap into that creativity, because tapping into that creativity is showing us that we are functioning from faith and not from fear, and that we are creating something for the future, both for ourselves and maybe for other people. But I'm telling you, this chaos is the perfect time for creativity. And if you're feeling creatively blocked, I can tell you exactly what to do. It's not going to be meditation. It's not going to be journaling. Though those things can work. But I'm going to take a page from a Navy SEAL's book. I don't know if you've heard of Jocko Willink, but he wrote a book called There's Freedom in Discipline, or something like that, something to that effect. And what I mean by that in terms of creatives is, if you set up a discipline, if you set up a structure and tell yourself that you're going to come to the table for that structure no matter what, you are going to eventually get through whatever block that you're telling yourself that you're choosing to have. I hate to tell you, it is a choice. So what does that look like? That looks like setting out a time in your calendar, in your routine, and then holding yourself accountable to it, where you're going to sit down in front of the computer or with your pen and pad or at the piano or in front of the easel, whatever it is for you, sitting down and doing it no matter what. The idea of writer's block or being uninspired, I'm here to tell you right now, it's a choice. And if you want to get over your creative block, you have to choose to get over the creative blocks. If the choice doesn't come naturally just from hearing that, you have to create the physiology to pull the psychology through. If your psychology isn't working, check your physiology, right? Like if you're feeling tired or depressed, do a Superman pose. That will increase testosterone and energy really quickly. If you're feeling uninspired or blocked, put yourself in front of your tool or your instrument or your medium and do one little thing. Write one word, play one note, and then do it again and again and again and again, and keep showing up to the table of discipline. This will eventually get you unstuck and unblocked, and it's going to have a really surprising beneficial side effect. That side effect is you start holding yourself accountable, and then you start trusting yourself more. You start letting yourself know that you are worthy of being accountable to. So you start believing that about yourself, because you're treating yourself the way you want your future customers and your future audience and your future market to teach you. So when you start trusting yourself, you are also creating a virtuous cycle where you're healing wounds, because if you're trusting yourself, you're going to start trusting other people. And some of your functions right now are actually a function of not trusting other people due to traumas earlier in your life. And when you start treating yourself as worthy of trust, you'll start seeing other people as worthy of trust as well, because perception is projection. So if you start trusting other people to do what they say they're going to do, people behave into those expectations. It's a really interesting thing that starts to happen. It's a phenomenon that starts to happen in ways that are really, really cool. Carve out that schedule. Come to the altar of your creativity. And if you don't have a novel in mind, write one word, then write one more, and then write another. Paint one shitty painting. Let it be shitty. That's another thing about creative blocks, is if you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself for it to be absolutely perfect, you're focusing on the outcome instead of the joy of creating. The joy of creating is going to wake up that beautiful part of you that is so creative, and that place where you get lost and you're in flow and you're increasing your immune system because you're doing something that really speaks to your soul. And then all of a sudden all the craziness around you seems to melt away because you're going into your own little creative world. But if you're sitting down at the altar of creativity worrying about, like, is this going to be the next Michelangelo's David, you're screwed on arrival. You're totally screwed on arrival. Okay? So go for the joy of creating and let yourself be there. Just let yourself be there. Maybe you want to meditate before you go, right? And I know I said this wasn't about meditation. It is about discipline. It's about structure and showing up for yourself. And then the really great side effects of starting to trust yourself and starting to find others trustworthy, knowing that you are accountable, so that when you tell someone that you're accountable, you actually believe yourself. You can like really sell it, right? I did get a question sent to me today. If you have any other questions, I'm going to be making these live streams a fairly regular thing. I need to figure out a schedule that works for me so I'm not in burnout. And like I said, I'm a little tired today, but there was a question that was sent to me today by one of my Instagram followers, and this is a timely thing. And the question boils down to what if you took that leap of faith, left your corporate job for a creative job that got you like closer to your passion, and then this whole pandemic, because of that, you get laid off and now you're totally screwed and you're just trying to keep the faith. I'm all about taking the leap of faith for sure. And this particular user had another job lined up, and how was this user supposed to know that there would be a worldwide pandemic that would cause him or her to lose their job? There was no way to know. So this goes back to building a mindset and understanding how to be resourceful in the face of changing conditions, because those who are most flexible and most adaptable will survive and thrive in the long term. This particular person did not want to go back to doing like admin office work. I couldn't get the specifics why, but I'm going to project that they would feel like that's a defeat, that it is a step backwards. In this time where we're at right now with so much uncertainty, it's really difficult to say. I don't know if this person has savings or anything like that, but it's really difficult to navigate what should you do. If you have resources built up, if you have savings, if you have a couple of months where you can just kind of like live off your savings, you have a huge opportunity in front of you to pursue your creative passion and just put it out into the world. And start building those relationships via Facebook groups, via LinkedIn. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is that this person is living paycheck to paycheck. There's always, and if you don't have savings, there's always that funky transition period into a new job where like for some reason like you feel like you've gone too long without money, so that's a little bit stressful too. I'm not sure of the specifics of the situation, but what I would say to this person is, if they're resisting going back and doing admin work because it feels like it would be too much of a defeat, I would ask that person, probably the creative industries are not going to be hiring for a while. Unfortunately, the arts are what is neglected for now, the fine arts business, that trading business. I saw something the other day, I forget, like on My Modern Met or something, that market has really slowed down. It will pick up again, so you want to go to the cave and sharpen your sword. You want to be prepared for when the market bounces back, most definitely. And at the same time, you want to look at it like, if you are in financial need, if you need resources, maybe if you can get a job with other skills that you have, you just look at that job as a, what do they call it? A temporary VC, a temporary venture capitalist, that money is fueling this time for you to go back and reevaluate your arts, get over whatever creative block it is, start creating, create that structure, and know that this is just temporary. If you're wondering, first of all, my guess, I don't know what's going to happen, so don't quote me on this, but my guess is that we're moving even further away from permanent employment situations, right? Like in the last, say, 6 or 7 years, we've seen a huge boom in what they call the gig economy, right? So people are delivering Uber and Uber Eats and all that stuff. There's not this structure where you're an employee. So the contractor structure is really good now. Well, I'm not sure if it's good or bad. It's very prominent. And if you decide that it's a resource for you in these times that are a little bit funky and a little bit scary, then it can be a resource for you, especially as an admin. This person said that they didn't want to go do admin work. You might want to look at being a virtual assistant, because that's a contractor position and you can work from anywhere for anyone, anywhere in the world. Now, if that's something you have to resort to, maybe there's an opportunity to find someone in the creative industry that you are wanting to eventually make it in and deepen this relationship, and maybe like really perform really, really well for them. Serve, over deliver. We're living in a world where we can't afford to not over deliver. You want to serve, over deliver, and it's an opportunity to build a relationship with someone in the industry. Maybe there's no one in your specific industry that needs a virtual assistant or an admin assistant at this time. So start thinking about complementary and adjacent industries that would still be your craft adjacent, right? Is there someone at, like, say you're a visual artist, is there someone at Sotheby's, or are there any virtual positions at Sotheby's or Christie's, or probably museums are going to be shut down and everything. It's a difficult situation out there, but it doesn't hurt to look and see what is going on. Other than that, what you want to do is look at other places that are hiring remotely. And if you don't want to take a permanent position because it feels like a defeat, take a contractor position, because the understanding with contractors is that it's more fluid, right? Like my one employee right now is a contractor, and right now we're working on a very specific project. If it produces results, she'll continue being a contractor with me if she decides it's a good fit for her too. So far, she's doing amazing. It's so exciting. But that's okay, so that's besides the point. The opportunity with contracting is the flexibility. You can work for multiple people. You can usually, if whoever you're working for is chill, you can usually work whatever hours you want. The person I'm working with, she's in India, so she just sends me updates and I go and look at the results, and it totally works for me. It just depends on the client, right, and the project and all of those things. Downside of contracting is contractors are at high risk of being the first thing to go as businesses lose revenue. Expect the need to be flexible. Decide what you're worth and hold the space that you're going to get exactly what you want. I don't want people to devalue themselves. In fact, I have not given any discounts for my services. I'm giving a ton of value. I'm doing free workshops every single day, but I'm not giving discounts for my VIP, and when I offer my new course, it's going to be at a discount because it's a beta program, not because there's a worldwide pandemic. And beta is like I'll be working a couple of things out and all of that, so it's not totally polished yet, so it would make sense that it would be at a lower price. So for that person who wrote me that issue, first of all, thank you for submitting your question. And I hope that was useful. I don't want to tell people to settle for less than what they want right now, But if you're in a situation where your well-being is compromised due to financial instability, it might behoove you to look at other options, even if it feels like a step back into your old life. I acknowledge that it must have been incredibly exciting to leave corporate America, go work adjacent to your creative passion, and then how devastating it must have been to have to be let go in circumstances that are so beyond your control. But what is in your control are your own thoughts, your own feelings, and your own actions. So you can decide that even if you go back to another admin position, it doesn't mean defeat. It doesn't mean that you failed in any way. You can decide that the right position is waiting for you when all of this, when the dust settles. You can also decide that this is the time to get your creativity, to get your craft down, to start connecting with your audience, to start building your platform in a really major way. That is the opportunity here. So I hope that was helpful. And I hope all of you guys are practicing self-care as well. I'm going to be doing another live stream tomorrow, and then I'll take Sunday off. I am open. I want to know what you guys need support with. Please stay well and be healthy and take care of yourself and send love and healing into the world when you're able to. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. We'll be doing this again next week. Share this with your friends. Let's get a community going. Let's get a discussion going, okay?